I can't believe I'm saying this, but the mini iPhone might actually be coming back. Plus, we're learning about some really weird last-minute iPhone 17 changes that have the internet going crazy right now. Apple's back-to-school promo is live, which sounds kind of, random, but honestly, is secretly like the best Apple deal of 2025. And also, Tim Cook might soon be out of a job at Apple, and Apple might not exist in the next couple of years. That sounds crazy and like YouTube clickbait, but it's actually true. The reason for that is that the US government's antitrust suit against Apple is slowly but steadily moving forward. And while Apple has done a pretty good job of keeping this out of the headlines and everyone assumed it was going to go away, it is not going away. In fact, Apple's latest motion to dismiss this lawsuit was denied, and it keeps going forward. And remember, this is a pretty big landmark case. Apple is being accused of anti-competitive, monopolistic practices over the mobile smartphone arena, the App Store, all of those things sort of tied together. And if the government was to get their way, Apple could, on one hand, maybe pay some kind of huge fine and make some changes, or Apple could be forced to be broken up into smaller, separate companies where the maker of the iPhone wouldn't hold the keys to the App Store and make AirPods and things like that. Sounds crazy, but this is moving forward as a real thing. So definitely something that Tim Cook is losing sleep over at night. Let's just be real. But in the meantime, you and I don't have to lose sleep over that or care about it because it's not our problem. We're just the paying customer that wants cool stuff. And the good news of the week for us is that we've just got like these flurry of new leaks from Apple, and it looks like a lot of good new products are coming. For example, remember the 12-inch MacBook of, I don't know, how long has it been, a decade or so ago? This was a really weird laptop because it was kind of more premiumly priced. It had a weird low-powered Intel mobile processor. It didn't have a fan, and it had a very sleek and unique design, which was great, but it had so many problems that eventually Apple just axed it. We're now learning this might be coming back in a surprise way by the end of this year or early next year, and it might just be, dare I say, like the best Mac ever. The reason I say that is that if the rumors are true here, the price of this thing will be insanely good. In fact, we've been hearing for a while now, a year or so, that Apple was experimenting and discussing internally about making a MacBook SE, sort of a lower cost Apple laptop that still had great battery life, macOS 26 support with Tahoe. It would have the great Apple Silicon inside for great power, but would also lose a couple of things to bring the price of the thing down, which is what this new MacBook might be doing. And one of the biggest trade-offs you'd be making would have an Apple Silicon chip inside, but according to leaks, it would actually have the A series chip of the iPhone 16 Pro and not like an M1, M2, or M3, which would be kind of a good move and a bad move depending on which way Apple goes. Current leaks suggest the A18 Pro, the exact same processor that's in the iPhone 16 Pro, would be the chip powering this new laptop, which on one hand, I mean, we know Apple Silicon is really, really good, and I'm sure this would be plenty powerful for running macOS and things like that. But on the other hand, I wonder if the way Apple spins this is it's sort of like an iPad on steroids, that maybe what they do is have this laptop be closer to $500, $600, $700, whatever the price is, but it runs iPadOS instead of macOS, which definitely would be a possibility. And I kind of get the trade-off because on one hand, iPadOS 26 is better, there's multi-window support, it does feel like more like a Mac. But on the other hand, if there's M-series chips in the iPads, why are we having Macs with iPhone silicon chips? It's just the kind of, way that's going to play out doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but the promise is exciting. And if Apple does release this MacBook SE, that would be really, really awesome to see. And, according to the leaks, it actually might be coming sooner than we thought. Also, for MacBook Pro fans out there, we are expecting some new M5 MacBook Pros this fall. But the more exciting news on that is a brand new report coming out today as of filming that an OLED MacBook Pro is still on track for next year in 2026, and it would have no notch. Could you believe it? It would just be edge-to-edge OLED goodness. hopefully coming soon. All right, moving on from that, let's talk about iPhone 17. What is the latest we know about this? And basically, it's the same old story I won't bore you with. Though I will say what seems to have everybody on the internet going crazy for some weird reason is some new info that it looks like Apple is going to move the Apple logo from sort of dead center on the back of the phone down a little bit to kind of two things: better accommodate the new larger camera bump, especially on the back of the Pro phones, and also I guess they're moving down the magnetic MagSafe component, so the moving of the logo would better accommodate that. I mean, you can see from the pictures why this makes more sense. Why people are crazy about it, I'm not really sure, but that's what we know about now. That's kind of the only thing changing, which means that iPhone 17 is basically locked in and ready to go. Definitely not the most exciting thing ever, but I will say on that front, with sort of the return of the MacBook in a new, relived form, it does give me more hope that an iPhone mini could be coming back. And I did a previous video, I'll leave a link down below, where I did talk about what happens when Apple listens to their customers and admits they were wrong and they had made mistakes. And if Apple does experiment more with the iPhone lineup and they make an Ultra phone and they start to make, more offerings, kind of like what they're doing with the Mac and the iPad, I think a mini iPhone does have a shot of coming back. And especially given the fact that Apple is, I guess, now in the business of bringing back older flop products and sort of fixing those issues and giving them new life, maybe that gives some good hope to cling on to for an iPhone mini. So definitely wouldn't count it out just yet, though we know right now iPhone Fold is kind of the big thing that will be coming next as soon as next year in 2026. For all 2 or 3 of you who care about Vision Pro, a couple of updates to share here from Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo, who is a master of the supply chain. He says that basically right now, Apple's got a couple of priorities for Vision Pro. Seems like their big thing right now is they're really trying to get this glasses project off the ground, that, something that looks like traditional glasses that would function with Apple, Vision OS in there. I guess Vision OS 26 now, whatever the software is called. Basically, this seems to be the big priority. It's something Apple is looking to push forward with and release over the next couple of years. A Apple Vision Air is still in the works for the next couple of years, and also a redesigned version of Apple Vision Pro also in the works as well. Apple still believes this is a big thing, and they're working on it, but there's not a whole lot of progress being made right now. Especially remember the fact that Mike Rockwell, sort of the chief of Vision Pro, is now supposedly also the chief of Siri and fixing that whole mess. There's a lot going on that could complicate things. So Vision Pro isn't at a standstill. There's things coming for it, but don't expect anything anytime soon, at least 12 to 18 months from now at the absolute earliest. And then finally, Apple back to school promotions. The reason I bring this up is twofold. One, I know a lot of you guys are students looking for a good deal, and there actually are some pretty good deals to be had. And also, for everyone that says Apple never does discounts, well, you're right. Apple themselves rarely ever does any meaningful discount. I mean, they do some holiday stuff, they do some Black Friday stuff, but it's really not very good. You're usually better off going with third parties. But I will say the back to school promo this year is particularly good, that depending on what you go with, you could get free Apple Pencils, you could get a heavily discounted Magic Keyboard for your iPad, you can actually get free AirPods, and what Apple is letting you do is also pay the difference in some cases between a pretty fat Apple credit and AirPods Pro. So I forget what it is, I'll throw it up on screen, but in a lot of ways, you can get like AirPods Pro 2 for a substantial discount just by being a student, a teacher, or anyone in any way affiliated with the school. Apple is very generous with their student discount. I'm not telling you to abuse it. That is not what I'm saying, but I'm saying they are generous in the fact that if you do any sort of role in any kind of educational setting, K through 12 or higher education or whatever, you can qualify for the discount. So definitely keep that in mind and check out the deals. They're live for the next couple of weeks because free AirPods, free Apple Pencils, free Mac accessories, heavily discounted other things, not something I would want to pass up. All right, everybody. So as always, I'm curious your thoughts on the big Apple news of the week. Would you be happy with a MacBook SE for like $500? Would you be in or out? Also, iPhone 17, do you care that the Apple logo has been changed? And back to school promotion. Are you taking advantage of free AirPods? Drop a comment down below. Let me know. Appreciate you guys watching. Thank you so much. I'm Robert Rosenfeld from the Apple Circle. I'll see you all in the next one.